So the next type of chart or visualization that we want to create is something called a frequency distribution. So what we're trying to do here is provide some kind of summary visualization that shows the number of times observations fall into several non-overlapping categories. I tend to call it bins or buckets, and so they have to be the variable of interest cannot fall into more than one category or bin or bucket. And then we want to count up, and often we'll count the raw count as well as maybe the relative frequency, why it's called a frequency distribution. And so we can do this for both categorical and quantitative or numerical variables. We'll start with categorical variables. So let's do it for a somewhat fictitious class and their resulting course letter grades. So on Blackboard, let's see if I can get the Blackboard. Under Materials, Unit 2, I have letter grade frequency.xls. So download that and let's open it up and try it. So it's opening Excel, and bring it over here so you can see it. So I have two columns of data, male or female, whether the student was a male or a female, and their resulting course letter grade. And over here in columns E, F, and G is where I'm going to do some of the calculations, and then we'll create a frequency chart from that. For categorical variables, it's nice, we already have the categories. The issue is we have to actually do the counting ourselves and then also calculating the frequency ourselves. So if I scroll down, it looks like we have 33 total students in the course, and we want to count up how many people got A's, how many got A minuses, B plus, right? USM, we don't give A pluses, and all the way down through. Looks like in this class there were no D pluses or D minuses. Kind of pointless to give those out, in my opinion. And then F's. So let's count each one. So how do I count all of the letter grades? So we can use the function COUNTIF. The range, in this case, it is B2 through B34. And the criteria, I want it to equal A. Let's try that and see what happens. 7 people had A's. Right? And so we could go through and verify and make sure that that's the case. So 7 out of 33. Now because I anchored the range of the grades of the students, I should be able to just autofill this down. Right? And then when I add it all up, better get 33. I do. All right. So we had 7 A's, 1 A minus, 3 B pluses, 12 B's, 3 B minuses, 2 C pluses, 1 C, no C minuses, 1 D, and 3 F's. All right. So we could create a frequency chart using those numbers, those raw numbers. So let's do that. So if I select this right here and then go to Insert, and then I'm going to pick a column chart and do this. And then let's move it down here. And, you know, I don't like the grid lines. Look in the book about why I don't like that for data ink ratio. I'm going to format the chart area. The border, I like rounded corners. Right, I know it's a little silly. And then the highest number is 12, so we could change the axis, the vertical y-axis, to a maximum of, let's do 13. Let's leave a little bit of space because I'm going to do something later. All right, so this is, and then let's change the title to letter grade distribution. Yep. So let's go to this. So looking at this chart, frequency chart, we see that the large majority of the people are here in the B's, right? We have a good little hump in the A and A minuses, is a total of 8, but then there's 12 B's, 3 B pluses, 3 B minuses, so it's 18, right? And then a couple C's, and then we got some of these students down here who decided they didn't want to do homework or projects or whatever assignments there were. So this is useful. What I also like to do is come up with the relative frequency, and so basically it's what percentage of the class, because I could have different size classes for different sections, made A's. All right, so we take the count and we divide by the total, and I'm going to anchor F12, the 33, and it gives me 21%. All right. So I had already had this column apparently formatted to be percentage, and obviously 7 over 33 is 21 forever. This is rounded to just no digits because in this case it doesn't add any value really to someone looking at it as to if I have more precision, more digits out to the right. So a total of 24% had A's, and then B's we had 36 plus 9 is 45 plus another 9, 54%. So the middle 50% got B's. Right? So I would like to add this as a data label. So I go down and I click on one of the, if I click on one of these guys, right, it highlights that, and then right click and do add data labels, and do add data labels, and by default it adds the count. While that's useful, what I'd really like to see, I can see the count off of the x-axis, right? So what I really want for this is I actually want the relative frequency. So to do that, I click on the data label that was just added and do format data labels, and then over here instead of value I uncheck that and I do values from cells, and it says what cell range do you want, and I pick the relative frequency G2 through G11. Click OK, and now I can see the number from the x-axis, I can see the percentage on top. Right. So that helps me kind of understand the shape of the distribution. All right, it's more here for categorical. Right, for categorical, I don't have an immediate way to calculate the average, the mean letter grade. I could convert it to GPA and do that. Right, so there is a way to do that. So that ends frequency distributions for categorical variables. The next time we'll look at frequency distributions, we'll look at it for numerical variables.